At this time, please welcome me and joining to the podium, Mr. Greg Hansel, Director of Education, for a special recognition for our 2018 Distinguished Alum.
This year's recipient of the Distinguished Alumni Award is Father William Menzel, class of 1959. In reflecting on his more than 50 years as a priest, Father Bill gratefully proclaims that the Catholic faith gave its richness and nourishment to me and eventually called me to the priesthood. He has had the privilege of ministering to the people of Wisconsin in a variety of capacities, including parish ministry, teacher, and principal at Eau Claire Regis. He served as a member of the Presbyteral Council, the St. Joseph Priest Fund Board of Directors, and is chairman of the Clergy Personnel Council. Father Bill's reach goes far beyond serving as a parish priest, as he is a renowned philosopher, thinker, humanitarian, and scholar. He has published articles on various topics related to faith and life. His compassion for people is most evident with his volunteer work as a pilot with Angel Flight Central. Angel Flight Central is a nonprofit organization dedicated to arranging free, non-emergency, long-distance air transportation for children and adults in need. Nearly 90% of the flights arranged through AFC are to transport people to specialized medical care. Father Bill also conducts compassion and community service flights, which are flown to help people in the midst of a family crisis or to help children fly to special needs camps and to assist communities in times of natural or national disasters. Upon reaching the age of 70 in 2011, Father Bill was granted senior priest status. He resides in Wisconsin Rapids and continues to help other priests with Mass and sacramental services. Besides the joys and challenges of priesthood, he has a deep love for reading, writing, learning, flying, classical music, technology, amateur radio, and just about anything else that piques his curiosity. Please join me in welcoming Father Bill Menzel.
Thank you, Mr. Hansel. I always have to adjust these things for some reason or other. Pardon me. I'm not having a heart attack. My phone just buzzed. Text message. Bill, remember that these graduates did not come here to hear you talk. Remember that the air conditioning in this place is no better than it ever was. If you don't strike oil in 10 minutes, quit boring. As you may have surmised from what Mr. Hansel already said, 59 years ago, I was sitting right where you are. No, it wasn't. It was a few blocks over that way, actually, because that's where Pacelli High School was back then. It was a boys' school, and this was Maria High School, and it was a girls' school. That's ancient history for you young folks. And also, 51 years ago today, I was standing right where I am now, except not here, it was over there. I had been ordained just a few days before the class of 1967 graduated, and I had been honored to be asked to talk at that graduation. I'm even more honored to be here with you today. To tell you the truth, I don't remember a single thing about my graduation. I don't remember who talked. I don't remember walking across the stage. I don't even remember if Elgar's music was played, the Pomp and Circumstance March. It probably was, but I don't remember any of that. Chances are, I'm not going to remember much about today either. But that's all right. That's all right. Because it's still an important day. That day was an important day for me, and I'm sure that today, whether you remember the details of this day or not, it will always be a day that marks an important event in your lives, and that is good. This life that God has given me has been filled with many gifts. Today I'd like to share with you some parallel lessons that I've learned from just two of those gifts, and Mr. Hansel has already referred to those, being a priest and being a pilot. I use the term parallel lessons very deliberately because it amazes me how these two gifts have resonated with one another in my life. It all started when I was very young. At an early age, I was fascinated by flight and dreamed of being a pilot. Also at an early age, I began to sense that God may want me to be a priest. Eventually, at some point, I decided that what God wanted was more important than what I wanted. So after I graduated from this great school in 1959, I entered the seminary. As I applied myself to my seminary education, I never abandoned my interest in aviation. Flying magazine was thankfully available in the seminary library, and I read it, shall I say, religiously. After I was ordained, I was assigned to Our Lady of Peace Parish in Marshfield. Many people had given me money as ordination gifts, and I used that money to take flying lessons at the Marshfield Airport. I started in July of 1967, about a month after I was ordained, and received my private pilot's license that December. This means that I've been a pilot as long as I've been a priest. It also means that I now had both gifts, the gift of priesthood and the gift of flight. Remember, God sometimes is willing to compromise. The sidelight to this is that just last Monday, the FAA Flight Safety Team awarded me the Wright Brothers Master Pilot Award, which is only given to pilots who have 50 years or more of safe flying. Where did I receive this award? It just happened by coincidence that it was at the Marshfield Airport, where all that began. Here now are some of the parallel lessons that I'm learning from these two great gifts of priesthood and flight. Some of these lessons are more important than others, but I share them in no particular order. Lesson: it's not about the rules, but the rules are important. They are meant to keep us safe, not to keep us from having fun. You would not believe the rules that pilots have to learn. It's called the FARs, the Federal Air Regulations. There's lots of them. I'm not going to go through any of them with you, but there's lots of them. For faith, we have what? The Ten Commandments. It's not too hard to remember those, is it? It's harder to live them, but it's not hard to remember. And then Jesus' two great commandments: love God above all, love your neighbor as yourself. It's not about the rules, but the rules are important. They help to keep us safe, and they help us to better enjoy life. Lesson: ignorance is not bliss, no matter what the saying says. Flying is inherently unforgiving of ignorance. Do I have enough fuel on board? Can I plan well? What is the weather? Are the runways at the airport I'm planning to land at open? Many Catholics are woefully ignorant of rituals and rules. Ignorance is not bliss. How many here even, and I won't venture to ask you to raise your hands, but how many here believe that if a Catholic is divorced, he or she cannot receive communion? That has not been true for all the 51 years that I've been ordained, and yet there are many Catholics who still think that. If you're divorced and remarry without having the previous marriage annulled, that's a different question. But many Catholics think that once they are divorced, they cannot receive communion. My litmus test for a Catholic, whether he or she knows his faith: what is the doctrine of the Immaculate Conception? 90% of Catholics get it wrong. I'm just pulling these numbers out of my head, but I wouldn't be surprised that it's pretty correct. 90% of Catholics get it wrong, 99 and 9/10% of those who are not Catholic get it wrong. What is the doctrine of the Immaculate Conception? Ignorance is not bliss. The doctrine of the Immaculate Conception has to do with Mary being conceived without original sin. It has nothing to do with Jesus. Well, only by extension, of course. Lesson. Situational awareness is critical in flying. Where am I? Who else is in the vicinity? When I first started flying, the only way you could know that was by carrying charts in your aircraft. You would draw a line from where you started to where you wanted to go, and you would kind of check the landmarks as you went. And you also had to be looking outside the airplane, make sure there weren't other airplanes around. This is especially critical when you get near an airport, of course, especially an uncontrolled airport that doesn't have a control tower. Situation awareness is crucial. It's much easier now with GPS, something called Add to Me. We can know all sorts of things that when I started flying, you had almost no idea about. In many parishes, and I've learned this lesson the hard way, and I'm sure a lot of other priests could identify with this, in many parishes it happens that a lot of people are related to each other. So you better be very careful what you say about anybody in the parish. Situational awareness is critical. Lesson. God has given me some valuable gifts. Use them for His honor and glory. Priesthood is not about me. It's not about Father Jeff. Not about Father Charlie. Priesthood is not a career path. Priesthood is about learning to love and serve the people of God. We are ordained to serve. It's not a career path. I'm not looking to be a bishop. Well, I'm too old anyway, but that is what it's about for us. At least it should be. God has given many gifts. He's given me the gift of flight. You've already heard from Mr. Hansel that one of the ways I use this gift of flight is with the angel flight missions that I fly. Usually these are during the summer, and I've been to many different airports. Like in the Chicago area, I've flown into Midway, flown into some of the other airports around the Chicago area to bring children up to a camp in northern Minnesota. And these are wonderful experiences, but I have always believed that as a pilot, God has given me this gift, so I share it, and I still do. I've taken many young people up for their first plane rides. I've taken older people up for their first plane rides because they're afraid to go on an airline flight. They want to know what it was like to fly. So these kinds of things. Share the gifts you've been given. Lesson. The phrase, "no one is perfect," is not an excuse for mediocrity. Sometimes we use that phrase, don't we? Oh, nobody's perfect. But that shouldn't be an excuse for mediocrity. If we can't be perfect, we can at least strive to be better. Better priest, better pilot, better human being, better servant of God. Lesson. I don't miss the good old days. I don't miss the good old days of aviation. Oh, it was fun back then. It was kind of interesting having a paper chart in your lap and being able to check off landmarks as you went. It was fun being up there in the air and doing something that a lot of other people have only dreamed of doing or maybe never even wanted to do. Those were good, the good old days. Today, flying is so much better. Just the things that we have now, the airplane that I use most often now is owned by two doctor friends in Wisconsin Rapids. I rent it from them. It has 2 GPSs, it has an autopilot. Last summer I flew it with 2 other priest friends all the way to Charleston, South Carolina. We were able to track the weather as we went on our iPads. Everything's so much better now. The same with the church. You know, there's lots of people who want to go back to the 1950s. I lived in the 1950s. I went to the Latin Mass. I served the Latin Mass. A Deum Glorificat Juventutem Meam. Suscipiate. We could never pray that prayer anyway. Those were wonderful days. They were good. The church was good. The church is better now. I love the way the church is. I love Pope Francis. I love the direction that he's heading for our church. Sure, we can look back and say the good old days were good, and some of them were. Many of them were wonderful, but we are a people who look forward, not backward. That's our role as the people of God. Lesson, be a believer. Pilots learn this early on. When you are in the clouds, You have no idea whether you are turning, you have no idea whether your plane is upside down or right side up, except maybe it might feel kind of odd. So how do we solve that? You have to believe in your instruments. If you're in the clouds, and only an instrument-rated pilot should be in the clouds, but if you are in the clouds, you have to believe. Because if you don't believe those instruments, if you only believe what your inner ear is telling you or what the seat of your pants is telling you, you're going to get it wrong, and you probably have about 178 seconds to live. You've got to be a believer. You've got to believe in the instruments. Well, the application of faith shouldn't be too difficult to make. Faith is instrumental in staying oriented in life. Be a believer. Belief can be hard, but life depends on it. Life depends on it. Lesson. PIC is PIC. Pilots here, anybody pilots know what PIC is? PIC is pilot in command. Pilot in command is pilot in command. All right, that means no excuses, no blaming. When you are the pilot in command of that airplane, you are in charge of it, and you have no excuses, even if there's another pilot flying with you. You are the pilot in command. That's true about life too, young friends and older friends too. You are pilot in command of your life. Make no excuses. You are in charge of it. Sure, you may have something in your background that you're dealing with or whatever that really causes you a great deal of difficulty. Still, you are in charge. Be in charge of your life. You are a pilot in command. Lesson. Although being a pilot and a priest are both serious business, it's still okay to have fun. All right? I won't say any more about that. I think it's self-explanatory. Yes, life can be serious sometimes, but it's okay to have fun. Fun is good. God wants us to enjoy the gifts of life that He gives us. Lesson, that which is invisible is sometimes the most important factor. Look around this gym, everybody. What do you see? You see all sorts of things on the walls, all sorts of accomplishments of people. You see our American flag, all sorts of things you see. There is one very important thing here that you do not see, but it is here more than anything else. And what is that? It is the air. You don't see it, but try to get along without it. Same with flying. What is invisible is what holds you up. In our lives, what is invisible? Faith holds us up. We don't see it, but it's there. Lesson. We do make mistakes. Confession leads to forgiveness. NASA has a special program called ASRS. People in aviation and government love these letters. ASRS means Aviation Safety Reporting System. If a pilot makes an honest mistake for which he could be prosecuted, if he files a report with ASRS within 10 days of making that mistake, and it wasn't something that he or she did deliberately, filing this report can bring forgiveness for that mistake because it gets published and others learn from the mistake, and so does the National Aviation. So do the National Aviation organizations like the FAA learn from this. I've used it just once, and I probably wouldn't have been prosecuted for the mistake anyway, but it's nice to know that forgiveness is possible. In faith, in life. Forgiveness is possible through the sacrament of penance. There's a wonderful way that Jesus has given us to let us know that we are so loved that no matter what it is that we have done wrong, we can still be forgiven for that. We come to the church, we come to Jesus with the reality of our sins and our sorrow for our mistake, and we ask forgiveness, and it is given. So there, my young friends, my older friends, you have some lessons that I've learned from the gifts of priesthood and the gift of flight. There are lessons that apply to aviation, to faith, and to life. I thank you for the opportunity to be here with you today. You have heard a message from a 77-year-old graduate, and momentarily you will be hearing from two of the newest graduates. In closing my part of this great day, there is a final message that I would like to leave with everyone here. I have expressed how grateful I am for the many gifts that I've received, in particular the two gifts of priesthood and flight. These have brought me many blessings and much joy. My final message is this: grateful people are happy people. An attitude of gratitude is at the heart of faith and truly is the essence of life well lived. As we say at every Eucharist, let us give thanks to the Lord our God. You respond, it is indeed right and just. Thank you.